What if I told you that the most charismatic person you've ever met wasn't born that way? They were built that way. One scientific principle at a time. Look, we've all been there. You walk into a room, and there's that one person. Every head turns. Every laugh is a little louder when they're around, and you're standing there thinking, what do they have that I don't? Well, science has a crystal clear answer, and today I'm going to break it down for you. The actual research-backed formula to become instantly more charismatic. No fluff, no just be yourself advice. Real techniques you can start using tonight. Let's get into it. The charisma myth, it's not what you think. Here's the thing most people get dead wrong about charisma. They think you're either born with it or you're not. That's a myth. Olivia Fox Cabane, who literally wrote the book called The Charisma Myth and has lectured at Harvard, Stanford, MIT, and even the United Nations, says charisma is not some magical gift. It's a learnable skill. A set of behaviors you can practice and master, just like riding a bike or shooting a free throw. And here's a wild example. Marilyn Monroe, one of the most magnetic humans who ever lived, could walk through the New York City subway completely unrecognized. Nobody would even look at her. Then she'd ask her friends, "Do you want to see her?" And just like that, without changing her clothes or her makeup, she'd shift her body language, her posture, her facial expression. And suddenly she was Marilyn Monroe. People would swarm her instantly. Same woman, same face, completely different behaviors. Scientists have even tested this in controlled laboratory experiments. They were able to dial people's charisma levels up or down just by instructing them to use specific charismatic behaviors, like adjusting a thermostat. That's how learnable this stuff is. So what exactly makes someone charismatic? Cabane breaks it down into 3 core pillars: presence, power, and warmth. The 3 pillars: presence, power, and warmth. Princeton neuroscience studies on first impressions show that the very first thing your brain evaluates when you meet someone is their warmth and their power. Those are the brain regions that light up instantly. Before you process a single word they say, your brain is already scoring them. Presence is the foundation underneath everything. Think about meeting someone like Bill Clinton, Oprah Winfrey, or the Dalai Lama. People who have interacted with these figures always say the same thing. They made me feel like I was the only person in the room. That's presence. It's giving someone your complete, undivided attention. And in our world of constant phone checking and half listening, presence alone can set you apart from 99% of people. Power doesn't mean you need to be a CEO or a millionaire. It's the perception of your ability to influence the world around you. It's confidence, decisiveness, and composure. And warmth is the signal that tells people you'll use whatever power you have in their favor, not against them. You need all 3 working together. Power without warmth makes you intimidating. Warmth without power makes you a pushover. And neither matters without presence. Now here's where it gets really interesting. But wait, what if you think you can't be charismatic because you're not attractive enough? The Casanova principle, you don't need looks. Let me tell you about Giacomo Casanova, history's most legendary seducer. This man was not handsome, he wasn't rich, he wasn't even particularly ambitious, but he was one of the most charismatic men who ever lived. And he used a technique that scientists have now proven actually works. Here's what Casanova did. During his time in the 1700s, women were rarely valued for their intelligence. Society treated them as ornamental. Casanova flipped that on its head. Every time he met a woman, he would compliment her mind, her ideas, her wit. He targeted the exact thing she felt most insecure about, her intellect, and made her feel seen for it. Scientists call this inverted vulnerability. When you compliment someone on the thing they're most insecure about, the impact is 10 times more powerful than a generic compliment. If someone just got braces and feels self-conscious about their smile, telling them they have a beautiful smile will hit completely different than telling them they look nice. You're not just complimenting them, you're healing a wound. But Casanova had another trick up his sleeve. And this one is backed by hard psychology, the gain-loss effect, why playing it cool actually works. In 1965, psychologists Elliot Aronson and Darwin Linder discovered something counterintuitive about human attraction. They called it the gain-loss theory. Here's the finding. People like you significantly more when they believe you went from not liking them to liking them, compared to someone who liked them from the very start. Read that again. If someone thinks you were initially unimpressed but then warmed up to them, they will find you more attractive than if you were positive from the beginning. Casanova used this instinctively. Every time he met someone new, he would initially lower his eyes, give a slightly judgmental stare, almost like he was sizing them up. Then he'd switch to a big, warm smile and engaging eye contact, as if the person had just passed his test. That shift from cool to warm created a massive spike in attraction. The person felt like they earned his approval, which made it feel 10 times more valuable. This is the psychological principle behind the hard-to-get approach, but it's more nuanced than that. You're not being rude. You're creating a journey from neutral to positive. And that journey creates a far stronger emotional response than constant positivity ever could. Now, there's a big obstacle most people run into when trying any of these techniques: confidence. So let's destroy that barrier right now. The Predator's Calm. How to fake confidence until it becomes real. Here's a secret that separates charismatic people from everyone else. They move like predators, not prey. Think about it. In the wild, antelopes are constantly shifting their eyes, changing direction, twitching with nervous energy. They're prey animals. Lions? They move slowly, deliberately. Their eyes are steady. They know they're at the top of the food chain. When you're nervous around someone, you look like an antelope. Your eyes dart around. You fidget. You rush your words. Charismatic people look like lions. They move with calm, measured control. And here's the best part. You can absolutely fake this. And when you fake it long enough, it actually becomes real. Amy Cuddy's groundbreaking research at Harvard Business School showed that holding a power pose, an open, expansive body position, for just 2 minutes increases your testosterone by about 19% and decreases your cortisol, the stress hormone, by about 25%. That's not some motivational speaker fluff. That's a measurable hormonal change in your body from simply changing your posture. So here's your first practical tool. Before any important conversation, date, or meeting, take 2 minutes in private and stand tall, chest open, hands on your hips. Your body literally changes your brain chemistry. But there's more to it than posture. Your voice might be the most underrated weapon in your entire charisma toolkit. The voice hack. How to sound instantly more charismatic. Research from Professor Albert Mehrabian at UCLA found that when people are communicating feelings and attitudes, only 7% of the message comes from the actual words, 38% comes from your tone of voice, and a whopping 55% comes from your body language and facial expressions. That means how you say something matters roughly 13 times more than what you say. The charm reframe. How to make anything sound interesting. Here's a technique called the charm reframe. The most ordinary things about your life can sound fascinating when you frame them the right way. Instead of saying, "I want to lose 30 pounds, say, "I'm on a journey to live a more healthy and fulfilling life." Same goal. Completely different energy. The first one sounds like a complaint. The second one sounds like a mission. The imperfection paradox. Why your flaws are your superpower. In 1966, psychologist Elliot Aronson discovered what he called the pratfall effect. In his experiment at the University of Minnesota, participants listened to recordings of people answering quiz questions. Some answered 92% correctly. Others were average. Then, on some recordings, the person spilled a cup of coffee all over themselves. Here's what happened. The highly competent person who spilled coffee was rated as the most likable of all. More likable than the perfect person who never made a mistake. Why? Because perfection is intimidating. It creates distance. But when someone who is clearly talented or competent shows a small human flaw, it makes them relatable. It makes them approachable. It makes them feel safe to be around. Abraham Lincoln understood this instinctively. He was known for his self-deprecating humor. One of his favorite lines was, "If I were two-faced, would I be wearing this one?" That kind of joke does something powerful. It reminds everyone that you're human, that you have strengths and flaws just like they do, and that humanization is the secret ingredient of charisma. Look at Jennifer Lawrence. She's insanely talented, but she's loved because she trips on red carpets and says goofy things in interviews. Those moments make her feel like someone you could actually grab a coffee with, not some untouchable celebrity. The key takeaway here is this: don't hide your awkwardness, weaponize it. Your brain on charisma, the neuroscience. Let me give you the brain science behind why all of this works. When you interact with a charismatic person, your mirror neurons fire. These are neurons in your brain that activate both when you perform an action and when you observe someone else performing it. When a charismatic person displays confident body language, expressive gestures, and engaging speech, your mirror neurons create a sense of shared experience. You literally feel what they feel. It's neurological empathy on autopilot. On top of that, charismatic interactions trigger the release of dopamine and oxytocin. Dopamine is the reward chemical. It makes the interaction feel pleasurable and exciting. Oxytocin is the bonding hormone. It makes you feel connected and trusting. So when someone is charismatic, your brain is literally being rewarded for paying attention to them. You're getting a chemical hit that makes you want more of their presence. People with higher emotional intelligence show stronger activation in the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for empathy and social bonding. This means charisma isn't just about technique, it's about genuinely connecting with people. The techniques I've shared today are your tools, but the engine that drives charisma is authentic human connection. Quick thinkers win. The speed factor. Here's one more piece of the puzzle that most people completely miss. Research published in Psychological Science by William von Hippel at the University of Queensland found that people who respond more quickly to questions are perceived as more charismatic by their friends. This isn't about intelligence. The effect held even after controlling for IQ and personality traits. It's about mental agility. Quick thinkers are seen as more funny, more witty, and more engaging. They can read a room and respond in real time, which signals social intelligence. So how do you get faster? Practice, engage in more conversations, put yourself in social situations where you have to think on your feet. Over time, your brain gets better at accessing the right response at the right moment. The formula, put it all together. So here's your complete scientific formula for instant charisma. Number 1, be present, put your phone away. Look people in the eye. Make them feel like the only person in the room. Number 2, control your body. Move slowly and deliberately. Use power poses before high-stakes situations. Let your body tell your brain you're confident. Number 3, master your voice. Speak from your chest, slow down at the end of your sentences, and lower your intonation. Number 4, use inverted vulnerability. Compliment people on their insecurities. Make them feel seen where they feel most invisible. Number 5, embrace imperfection. Let your flaws show. Use self-deprecating humor. Be real. Number 6, listen more than you speak. Reflect people's ideas back to them. Make them feel understood. And number 7, think fast. Practice social interactions until your wit becomes second nature. That's not a personality type, that's a skill set. And every single piece of it is backed by peer-reviewed science. Now here's my question for you. Which one of these 7 techniques are you going to try first? Drop it in the comments below. I genuinely read every single one, and I love seeing you guys put this stuff into action. If this video gave you even one insight you didn't have before, smash that like button. Share it with a friend who needs to hear this. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe and turn on that bell notification so you never miss a video. Because we're dropping science-backed content like this every single week to help you become the most powerful version of yourself. I'll see you in the next one.